BMW and Mercedes-Benz have been locked in an epic battle to be the #1 best-selling luxury brand in America for years.
Last year, Mercedes won the title, and in an attempt to increase sales this year, they've introduced a new entry-level model, the CLA. But like any good Mercedes-Benz, they have to introduce a performance model, and this is it, the CLA-45 AMG.
Now, not to be outdone in any segment, BMW has also introduced a new entry-level sport model, and this is it, the M235i. These two cars make German luxury sports cars more accessible than ever. So we're here to find out if they're posers or are they the real thing.
On the surface, the CLA-45 and the M235i couldn't be any more different. The BMW is a rear-wheel drive, 6-cylinder sports coupe, while this is a 4-cylinder all-wheel drive sedan. Displacing just 2 liters, the hand-built AMG 4-cylinder actually makes more power than BMW's 6, with 355 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Unlike the 235i, there is no manual transmission option for the CLA, but at least the automatic is a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. With a smaller engine, it's no surprise that the CLA receives higher fuel economy ratings, set at 23 miles per gallon in the city and 31 miles per gallon on the highway. So far, we've been averaging 23.3 miles per gallon. Our AMG transformed CLA starts at a base price of just over $48,000 after destination charges, but load it up like our test model here and it begins to push $56,000.
Under the hood of the M235i lives a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder that makes 320 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque, sent directly to the rear wheels. A 6-speed manual transmission is standard and it's fitted on our test car. Buyers can also opt for an 8-speed automatic. For fuel economy, the BMW is rated at 19 miles per gallon in the city, 28 on the highway, and 23 miles per gallon combined. Over our week with the car, we have been averaging a little worse than the Mercedes at 21.8 miles per gallon. The base M235i costs $44,025 after destination, but our car as tested rung up to $51,600 after a few options were added like that Astoro blue paint, the driver assistance package, and the premium package.
To separate AMG models from lesser CLAs, Mercedes has added a few external cues. There's a front lip spoiler, matte gray trim bits, a larger rear diffuser, and of course the AMG trademark quad chrome tailpipes. If that's not enough, there are exterior packages that can either paint your calipers or add carbon fiber bits here and there. All CLA 45s come standard with 18-inch wheels, but there are 2 optional 19-inch wheel packages, including the 2-tone black and silver found on this car. I'm personally not a fan of this wheel design, but it does give the CLA better proportions overall and it fixes some of the awkward looks of the regular CLA 250.
Unlike the Mercedes, the M235i doesn't rely on a bunch of added visual bits to get its good looks. It's long, low, and lean right out of the box. Now you have to remember, this isn't a true M car. This car sits somewhere between the 228i and what would be an M2 that may or may not be coming down the line. So it doesn't really get that really aggressive look like, say, the M3. But the cues that everyone knows from BMW are all here. Those twin kidney grills, the 4 halo headlights, and of course these beautiful blue brake calipers which really set this car off.
The interior of the CLA AMG doesn't differ too greatly from the regular CLA 250. There's still a display screen sticking up from the dashboard, and overall all the controls are basically the same. This steering wheel I don't like as much as the BMW's, but there are optional wheels available in this car. The front seats have a nice fake suede insert, and they hold you pretty good in the corners, although I do wish they were the optional Recaros. Like the 235i, there's a large piece of aluminum going across the dashboard, and this can be replaced by carbon fiber or a couple different versions of wood, but of course at a price. Mercedes calls this a 4-door coupe, and it has a very swoopy shape front to back. Now, even though it has 4 doors and the BMW has 2, there's actually less rear seat space in this vehicle than the BMW. Aside from numbers that say there's less legroom and headroom, I test sat in both vehicles, and headroom's tight in both, but there definitely is more legroom in the 2-door BMW. What's more, because of this sleek shape, the BMW also has a larger trunk, so the 2-door car is actually more practical.
For a small car, the space in this little BMW is used really, really well. Even for a big guy like me, the headroom and the legroom up here in the front is more than enough. On top of that, the bolsters in the seat can be adjusted for width, which again is really good for a guy my size, so I can fit in these seats really well. Speaking of those seats, they do a great job of holding you in place in the corners, and there's an adjustable thigh support, which is amazing if you're tall. If there is one issue in here though, it has to be the seating position. It would be nicer if these seats would go a little bit lower to give you more of that real M car feel. Now I realize that this isn't a true M car, so I understand that BMW probably didn't want to go that extra mile, but the seating position is a little high and a little non-sports car like. When it comes to electronics in the interior, everything in here is just pulled off really well. BMW's iDrive infotainment system has been upgraded over the years, and every year it just seems to get a little bit better. All the controls are clear and concise, and even though there's a lot going on up there, you can figure it all out your first time through.
As much as these two cars differ on the surface, they're pretty similar on paper. They both weigh around 3,500 pounds, their summer tires are about the same size, and they both have similar real-world power. Mercedes claims this vehicle can rocket from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds. With a little 2-foot brake stand action, it can happen. Otherwise, it's going to take longer, a lot longer. The 7-speed dual-clutch transmission offers a lot of delay. We found the same problem in the CLA-250, and we hoped that in the more powerful, sportier AMG model, it would be gone. But in fact, it may have got worse. Even in sport mode, if you hit the gas hard in this car, there's this delay before you start moving at all. The BMW has a far better transmission, and it's not just because we prefer manuals over automatics. This is a poor dual-clutch transmission, whereas the BMW has an excellent manual. Otherwise, the AMG package is good. Once the car is underway, there's plenty of power, and for a 4-cylinder, this makes some pretty cool noises out of the exhaust pipe. The overall grip of this car and chassis balance are better than expected for a car that is, after all, a front-wheel drive based vehicle. Yes, this vehicle is all-wheel drive, but 100% of the power goes to the front wheels until some slip is detected. And those who want to slide this thing around in the rain and the snow, only 50% of the power will ever go to the rear wheels.
When it comes to driving, everything about this BMW M235i is just right. First off, this car is fitted with this 6-speed manual, which is fantastic. The shifter is nice and notchy, the gates are really clear and defined, it's really easy to find the gears you want, and it's just a really rewarding experience to row through these gears. It gives you a lot of feedback, and as enthusiasts, it just makes you feel a lot more connected to this car. Even though the engine in this BMW is physically larger, the Mercedes actually makes more power. But when it comes down to is the transmissions. And in this BMW, from a standstill, you actually feel like you're getting more power off the line to start out with. Now, granted, the Mercedes is definitely the faster car once it gets up to speed, but on the low end, this 3-liter just feels really beefy. To go along with that power, the BMW also has really nice steering. Now, I think both of these cars are great handling cars, and I don't think the BMW has more advantage than Mercedes when it actually comes to sticking in the corner, but the steering wheel in this car offers a lot more feedback. It makes it much easier to place this car exactly where you want to be, and it just, again, returns a much more rewarding experience, especially if you're an enthusiast and you're looking for that really race-derived car. And the hits just keep on coming because the brakes in this car are also better than the Mercedes. They just give you a better feel, and they're much more precise, which makes it a lot easier to modulate your brakes. After driving these two cars for a week, the BMW emerged as the clear choice for the enthusiast. It delivers every single classic sports car trait that you might want without missing a beat.
The CLA-AMG has its merits, but like its bigger brother, the CLS-AMG, it's a straight-line rocket ship that doesn't offer much more. It doesn't offer the same driver engagement and isn't as fun to drive as the M235i.
So if you're in the market for an affordable German luxury sports car, the BMW M235i is the clear choice.